Hello, welcome to episode 8 of the Awakening Collective podcast. Today we are talking about the cycle of ascension. And before we jump into it, I just want to quickly go over the difference between awakening and ascension. So, in my view, when we awaken, it is a soul led activation that is taking us from where we are now back onto our intended blueprint. So, when we set out to come here, when we set out to come to this earth and have this experience, we designed a plan that of things that we were going to achieve and do and experience, and the expansion that we were going to have, the abundance that we were going to have. But as you all know, when we come into this world and we get struck with the matrix for starters, and then motherline wounding, ancestral wounding and karma, um, childhood trauma and beliefs that are put on us that weren't really part of our original path, we get taken off where we're supposed to be. So our awakening comes in as a catalyst for spiritual healing and a spiritual journey that actually takes us back to where we're supposed to be. Ascension, on the other hand, is the process of frequency upleveling. So every time that we have this cycle of ascension, it brings us into a new state of being mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So it's sort of like we continue up a ladder, but there's a cycle that happens within that. So most people, once they awaken, actually stay stuck in awakening. And so it's like being caught in this chaos. It's like being caught in a washing machine, just going round and round on the spin cycle of heavy emotions and taking on other people's stuff and just being so caught up in the destruction of the world. And like everything's just so all consuming for energy and for your emotions that you can't seem to find a way out. And so we do get stuck sometimes in that awakening pocket without actually starting to ascend. So what we want to do is set the intention to move forward into ascension. So using that cycle in our favor and using it in a productive way, rather than feeling like it's taking control of us and spinning us around, we can set the intent and start to align with our blueprint so that we can actually use and move through the cycle of ascension in a beautiful, expansive, positive way. Yeah, rather than like we're feeling like we're caught up in chaos and like we're being dragged down and we're always constantly at the bottom of that pit. So we're going to just go into that cycle of ascension now. So the 4 things that I look at and that I put in the cycle of ascension are align, heal, embody or action, and ascend. So the alignment comes from connection. And I bang on about this a lot because connection to your emotions, connection to your inner guide or your higher self, soul self, whatever you want to call it, connection to your intuition, connection to your spirit team, your aspects of self, your guides, your angels, that connection is paramount. If you are not taking the time, if you've started your awakening, you're on this journey, I highly encourage you to make sure that you are taking the time to sit every single day in silence and stillness in some way, whatever that looks like to you. So that may be for you, maybe it's not just sitting down in meditation, maybe it's a walk around the forest. But if it is a walk around the forest, don't be walking around the forest with your ear pods in, listening to a podcast or chatting on the phone to somebody. Be in your own energy. Yeah, be in the energy and frequency of the forest. Be in your body's energy and allow space for something to drop in. Because if you're listening to podcasts or you're nattering, you're not allowing space for downloads. And we need that stillness and we need that space within us in order to hear and to listen. So connection is so, so important when we're aligning to what we need to be doing. And it's also about aligning to our highest timeline and our heart's desires. Like I said, you came here with a blueprint. You came here with a highest timeline in mind. And so the more that you can actually connect into that, the easier it is going to be for you to start heralding in abundance, for you to get that job that you want, for you to have that partner that you want, the beautiful relationships with your kids that you want, to find your mission and purpose. That's on that highest timeline. So aligning with all those things that you want and all those things that you are actually, and actually don't want to say those things that you want. That's a different thing. Aligning with what you actually came here to experience, the heart's desires that you have, and the abundance that you programmed in for yourself comes down to connection. Because there is a difference between, I think, for most of us, what we actually put in our blueprint and what we want. Because a lot of what we want comes from what we think we're supposed to be doing, So it's what success looks like from our upbringing. Have you ticked all the boxes? So we need to be very careful. And I think that's why using the time to connect into your highest timeline of what you actually decided to do is important, because it's showing you what your heart's desires are, not what you think you should be doing, because that can get very, very close. Like the line between that is very, very tiny, and it can be very hard to judge which is one and which is the other. So connection and aligning is the first cycle of that, or the first part of that cycle of ascension. The next is healing, because what happens is we start to align with our timeline. And we start going, okay, well, I can see that, I want to be doing this or experiencing that. Then the healing needs to happen, because there are going to be patterns, emotions, beliefs, trauma that needs to be shifted and moved out of the way in order for you to actually have the frequency to align with that. Yeah. So the next is the healing. What emotions start coming up? Once you've kind of got this next part of your timeline in your sights, what are the emotions? What are the patterns that need to be disrupted? What are the beliefs that need to be broken down? What is the trauma that needs to be let go of? And this is where our tools come in, right? So this is where we want to start getting into healing meditations. Maybe NLP is your thing, maybe tapping, Reiki, and other healing modalities. Maybe, going to see somebody for Bowen therapy or whatever it is. This is where the tools come in. And the more tools on your journey that you can begin to collect, whether it's ancestral healing things that you can learn. There's a lot about manifestation that you can learn about, Akashic collapse. So all of these tools that are available out there, start to actually learn those and start embodying them, which is the next stage. So embodiment and action. This is the thing that a lot of people don't do. We get so swept up, and especially once you get into spirituality, we can get so swept up in all of the healing and getting so excited about looking at ancestral patterning and clearing all emotions and get that side of it, that we actually don't embody and integrate any of it. And without embodying and integrating any of it, we're not going to actually move forward. Like, you have to be doing things in the physical plane or that physical frequency for things to move forward. And so that's embodiment and integration and action. So let's say, for example, that you have tuned into your highest timeline and you can see that there is a better job there for you. And so you sit and you align with that, you connect into that. And your guidance is telling you to go for this promotion at work. But then what's going to happen is you're going to have beliefs come up about you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, there's heaps of people that have had more experience than you, and all of these things. So then the healing begins, and we use those tools to heal those beliefs, move those out of the way. But then comes the embodiment and the action of that. So you actually have to use those tools, but then also put in your resume. Yeah, you have to do out your resume, put it in, go for the interview. So we're aligning, we're using our connection to do that. We are healing to move the stuff out of the way so that we are ready to embody, integrate, and take action on what it is that we're actually doing, so that then we can actually ascend. So the next thing is that ascension. So that's when your frequency elevates. And the reason we need our frequency to elevate is that way we can hold more light, we can hold more abundance. People think that in manifesting what they want, it's why they talk so much about energy. Your energy has to be in a certain frequency to be able to hold what it is that you're asking for. And so if you want $1 million, if you're if you have a lot of lack mentality, your energy doesn't have the frequency to hold it. So even if you won Tats Lotto and got $1 million, the chance that you would still have that $1 million 2 months later is slim, because you don't have the frequency to hold that in your space. I hope that makes sense. So they're the four parts of the cycle of ascension that I see. So we've got alignment. So that's where we're connecting into our highest timeline, into our inner guide, our higher self, into our guides, our angels, so that we can gain insight into actually what our blueprint is. And a lot of people say, oh, we don't know what's in store, we just have to trust. But we actually do know. We do know what we've put here. It's not up to the universe. It's up to us, because we know what that path is. We set it out before we got here. It wasn't the universe, it wasn't God, it wasn't whoever. We did it. We did it in conjunction with other people, but it's our blueprint. And so we do know. We don't know how to get there very well, because we've lost so much connection with it and so much connection with our guidance and our intuition. And once we start pulling that in, the pathway is a lot easier. So that's that alignment and connection. Then we go into healing, what comes up, because that needs to move out of the way so that we feel safe to embody and take action on those things that are happening. And that is when our frequency up levels. And at the moment, I'm recording this at the beginning of 2025. So it's literally the second week of January. And the energy is potent. Like, the expansive energy that is coming in is just absolutely amazing, and everybody can feel it. But what happens is it brings a sense of feeling unsafe. Yeah, because it's really quite a huge energy. And I think everybody's feeling that if they go for what they want this year, they know they're going to get it. And that's very scary. And this is the other thing with Ascension. The other thing that comes up around it is that once you start going for what you know you deserve and what you're here to do, and all the big things that you want for your life that you know you're able to get, we get a feeling of unsafety is not a word, but we do start to feel unsafe. So having a lot of affirmation, around things like, it is safe for me to expand. It is safe for me to ascend. It is safe for me to step into my highest timeline, because that feeling of uncertainty, and I don't know, it's just such a big thing for us to be stepping into what we know we can have. We're not used to it on this planet. We're not used to such a massive amount of people actually stepping into a very high vibrational frequency. And so I think we can feel it from everyone. So it's just remembering that you're safe and remembering that it's okay. So that's the cycle of ascension. That's what we're kind of going around. So if you're feeling like you're stuck in your awakening, and you're feeling like you're being bashed about in, the chaos, the first thing that I definitely, like I've said before, that I ask you to do, to consider, is to really start connecting. Take 5 minutes, even if it's only 5 minutes every day, to actually connect into your emotions, connect into your energy, and stop taking on everybody else's stuff. I know there's a lot going on the planet right now, and I'm sure even if you're listening to this 2 years from now, there's still a lot going on the planet. As much as we care, we need to make sure that we're not taking it on, and that we it's okay to feel stuff and feel hurt for people and feel worried for people with the things that are going on, but it's not up to you to hold it, right? You can filter it, and maybe you're a filter for that. But the more you hold on to that, the less you're going to head towards your highest timeline, which means the less chance there is of it stopping. The more of us that tune into our highest timeline and start walking a path of joy and abundance, the less energy that other timeline of fear and destruction is going to get. And I know it's very hard. Like, people go, there's wars going on, and this is happening, and at the moment there's terrible fires in California, and people go, what can I do? I feel so bad. But if you want to do something about it, start walking in abundance and joy. Because the more we hold as a collective joy and abundance and happiness and expansion, the more the fear side starts to dissolve and shrink. Okay. And I know it feels weird because it's there's this guilt there of going, oh, but all these people are suffering, but I'm, trying to live in joy and expansion. If you want them to come with you, that is what you need to do. That is what we need to do as a collective. And it's very hard. I know it can be very hard to wrap your head around that concept. But the more that you are in joy, the more that you are in abundance, whether that be an abundance of love, time, freedom, money, the more that you can do and give to others to help them, to help pull them out of the pit. You can't help hold space for people, heal people, and pull people out of that space, even on a global, you know, collective level, if you are fearful and you are sad and you are low and you are depressed and you are bashing about in chaos. You can't help people like that. We really need to start using the cycle of ascension and stepping into it and guiding it forward rather than us being bashed about by awakening, if that makes sense. So anyway, I would love to know your thoughts on this. I'm actually at the beginning of February, I am hosting a 4-day workshop called the Ascension Accelerator, where we go into this so much more. We do some meditations on this and some journaling so you can really get some good answers on how to move forward. So if you haven't already, join me on Insta so that you can be ready to sign up for that when it comes out. And I will see you again next episode. Bye for now.